They're not observing you out of admiration. They're studying you, like a chess player studies the board before the final move. Manipulators don't target strength. They target softness, that hint of doubt in your eyes, the tremor in your voice when you explain yourself, the eagerness to be liked. To them, kindness isn't virtue, it's opportunity. And once they see it, they begin to calculate. This world doesn't reward the open-hearted. It consumes them. What you call compassion, manipulators call access. What you call honesty, they call leverage. And what you call connection, they call control. You were trained to play fair. They were trained to play first. That's why the ones who survive aren't always the smartest, but the most strategic. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that men should either be treated generously or destroyed, because small injuries provoke vengeance, but severe ones destroy the enemy completely. He wasn't talking about violence, he was talking about psychology, about the power of clarity, boundaries, and cold execution. So here's the truth. This world is a game of strategy, not sincerity. If you want to outsmart manipulators, you must see what they see, and then think 2 moves further. This video isn't about revenge, it's about resistance. It's about how to protect your mind from those who weaponize your empathy. These are 7 genius ways to outsmart manipulators, Machiavellian tactics refined for the modern world. From this point forward, you stop reacting. You start calculating. You stop chasing approval. You start controlling access. You stop proving your worth. You start protecting your peace. This is the manual they hoped you'd never read. Let's begin. The first tactic is simple, cold, surgical. The mirror defense. Manipulators thrive on asymmetry. They act, you react. They accuse, you explain. They test, you try to pass. Every time you respond emotionally, you confirm something for them. Your weakness, your fears, your need to be understood. That's their map. That's their leverage. But here's what they can't handle: their own reflection. They don't want to be seen, they want to see you. So you turn the mirror around. When they speak in riddles, you reply with silence. When they demand answers, you give them questions. When they push for emotion, you stay still. No drama, no flinch, just reflection. Example: someone says, "You've changed, you used to care more." Most people defend, explain, justify. You don't. You look at them calmly, coldly, and say, "What makes you say that?" Then wait. Let the silence stretch. Let them sit in the reflection of their own words. That's the mirror. It breaks their rhythm. Because manipulation isn't a debate, it's a dance. And once you stop following their steps, the music dies. They lose control. They start to question themselves. Their confidence cracks, not because you fought harder, but because you stopped playing their game. The mirror defense teaches one critical rule of psychological warfare: never feed the illusion of control. Manipulators survive on the reaction loop, action and response. Break the loop and their power withers. Try this in real life. When someone tries to provoke you, don't argue, don't explain, don't even smirk. Just observe and reflect. If they ask, "Why are you being so quiet?" mirror it back. "Why do you think I am?" If they say, "You think you're better than me?" hold their stare and reply, "Do you think I am?" The key is composure. Your calmness is not passivity. It's dominance disguised as peace. You're not fighting them, you're showing them their own face. And most manipulators can't stand the sight of themselves. Remember this line: the one who mirrors controls. Because the second you stop dancing to their tune, the manipulator hears only the echo of their own noise and realizes the performance was never yours to begin with. The manipulator's most powerful weapon isn't their words, it's your reaction. They don't need to raise their voice to control you, they just need to see you flinch. Every sigh, every apology, every emotional tremor is a data point, information they collect and weaponize. So the counterattack isn't more emotion, it's no emotion at all. Welcome to the emotion vacuum. You see, manipulators thrive on chaos, on pulling your strings until you dance without realizing it. But the moment you remove emotion from the equation, they lose their grip. It's not silence that destroys them, it's unreadability. You become a void they can't calculate, a wall they can't climb. When they project guilt, it bounces back. When they bait you with kindness, it disappears into fog. You give them nothing, no anger, no defense, no confusion, just stillness. They say something designed to cut deep. You're overreacting. Most people react exactly as predicted, proving the manipulator right. But you look at them, calmly, coldly. Interesting perspective. And that's it. No sarcasm, no explanation, just stillness.
The silence that follows becomes your greatest weapon. They start to fill it, nervously, desperately, trying to pull you back into the emotional arena. Because when you don't react, they lose control. When you stop feeding the game stops feeding them. This isn't numbness, it's discipline. Emotion is not your enemy. Public emotion is. Feel everything privately, but in battle, you stay composed. You don't show your pulse, you don't reveal your temperature. Because manipulators read emotion like a map. And once they can't read you, they can't reach you. Try it in real life. When someone mocks you, don't laugh or correct them. Let silence do the heavy lifting. When they guilt trip you with, "I guess you don't care anymore," you respond with a calm, "That's one way to see it." Nothing more. Every word they throw loses weight when it doesn't land. Your neutrality becomes a mirror of their failure. Your calmness becomes chaos for them. Because manipulation isn't about power, it's about control of reaction. And once you stop reacting, you reclaim everything they tried to own. From this point forward, remember this rule. Emotion is data. Never give data to the enemy. Let them guess, let them sweat, let them talk, while you sit still, cold, unprovoked, unreadable. That's not apathy, that's strategy. The emotion vacuum turns you from target into ghost, and ghosts are impossible to control. Manipulators want one thing above all: immediacy. They pressure, provoke, and rush, not because they need an answer, but because they need control. Every rushed response is a reaction they can use. Every instant decision is an opening they can exploit. So your next defense is simple: strategic delay. When they demand urgency, you give them time. When they push you to decide now, you pause. When they say, "I need an answer," you say, "You'll have it when I'm ready." This isn't procrastination, it's psychological disruption. Delays kill momentum. Manipulators rely on speed, the blur between pressure and panic. They want to keep you emotional, impulsive, confused. Because when you think slowly, they lose control. When you delay, they start to reveal themselves. Watch what happens when you stop reacting instantly. They'll repeat themselves, reframe their words. They'll turn polite, then frustrated, then offended. It's not your silence that hurts them. It's the space it creates. In that silence, their mask begins to slip. You can almost hear their real intention leaking through the cracks because time exposes truth. The liar fears delay. The manipulator fears stillness. Machiavelli wrote, "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake." That's what strategic delay does. It gives them enough rope to reveal their plan while you stand calmly observing. Try this. When someone says, "You owe me a response," Look them in the eye and reply, "And you'll get one when I've considered it." Then walk away. No justification, no debate, just controlled patience. Because patience isn't weakness, it's power disguised as calm. The slower you move, the faster they unravel. The quieter you stay, the louder their manipulation sounds. In the art of psychological warfare, tempo is everything. He who controls the pace controls the outcome. So take your time, always. Let silence become your filter. Let time expose what emotion hides. Strategic delay does more than protect you. It flips the entire dynamic. You're no longer the hunted, you're the observer. They're performing, you're timing the scene. And when you finally move, after you've seen enough, heard enough, calculated enough, your response lands like a blade, clean, unrushed, unrecoverable. That's the essence of Machiavellian control. Never react in the moment, control the moment. The greatest manipulations don't come from words, they come from information. Every manipulator operates like a spy, collecting fragments of your mind, your triggers, your insecurities. They study what offends you, what flatters you, what you defend the hardest. Then they weaponize it, slowly, subtly, relentlessly. So the counter isn't confrontation, it's selective ignorance. The strategic act of not knowing what they want you to react to. Here's the truth. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every insult deserves recognition. Not every truth deserves your correction. Manipulators thrive when you take the bait. They dangle half statements. People have been saying things about you. They hint, they prod, they provoke, and the moment you bite, they control the frame. But when you act unaware, when you pretend not to notice, when you treat their bait like background noise, you starve them of attention, oxygen, and power. They'll say, "Did you hear what I said?" You'll reply, "I heard enough." They'll ask, "Aren't you curious?" You'll answer, "Not really." And in that moment, silence becomes dominance. Selective ignorance is not stupidity. It's the highest form of intelligence, knowing exactly what not to know. Because manipulators feed on your need to clarify, your urge to prove, your obsession with understanding. They create chaos, then wait for you to try to make sense of it. But when you stay unmoved, uncurious, detached, you flip the script. They can't control what you refuse to process. They can't twist what you don't engage. They can't pull you into a game you never agree to play. Try this. When someone throws a vague insult like, "Everyone thinks you're too cold lately," most people panic. Who said that? Why? But you smile slightly, tilt your head, and say, "Everyone's entitled to their perception." No reaction, no fuel, no entry point. That's selective ignorance in motion. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, love and fear." A manipulator's impulse is neither. It's curiosity, your curiosity. They plant confusion to make you chase clarity, and the moment you chase, you lose control. So stop chasing, ignore the bait, let silence be your filter, and boredom be your weapon. Because the greatest psychological warriors aren't those who see everything, but those who choose what to see. Selective ignorance isn't blindness, it's self-control weaponized. Sometimes, the fastest way to end a manipulator's power is to stop resisting them out loud. You see, manipulators crave resistance. They live for conflict disguised as connection. They want you to fight, defend, argue, because every argument gives them data. Every debate gives them emotional leverage. So what happens when you remove resistance entirely? When you start nodding, smiling faintly, and saying, "You're right," you collapse their entire game. This is the illusion of agreement, a tactic born from Machiavelli's quiet genius. He understood that power doesn't always win by opposition. Sometimes it wins through illusion. Here's how it works. When a manipulator pushes an agenda, whether it's guilt, control, or flattery, you don't challenge it. You mirror it just long enough for them to expose themselves. You say, "I completely understand. That makes total sense." Then, silence. You're not agreeing because they're right. You're agreeing because you've recognized the trap and chosen not to step into it. Why does this work? Because manipulators expect emotional friction. They expect you to defend yourself, to react, to reveal what matters most to you. But when you give them calm compliance instead, they lose their bearings. They start to question your sincerity. They over-explain, over-justify, overplay their hand. And that's when you see everything clearly. Their insecurities, their motives, their weak points. It's psychological Aikido, using their momentum against them. Think about it. When you tell someone you're wrong, their defenses go up. When you tell them you're right, their guard drops. And when their guard drops, you see the truth. Let's bring it into reality. In a meeting, a manipulative colleague tries to undermine you. "I just think your idea might be too risky." Most people argue, "No, here's why it's not." You don't. You smile. "You're right. It might be." Now they're confused. Their ego got what it wanted, agreement. But the conversation's energy has died. They have nothing left to feed on. The illusion of agreement disarms, not because it's fake, but because it redirects the current. You're not reacting on their terms. You're letting them relax. And in relaxation, manipulators reveal their true form. Remember, you don't have to win every argument. You just have to make the manipulator believe they already have. When they think the battle's over, that's when you position yourself to win the war. It's the same principle Machiavelli whispered to princes. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Agree early, act later. Because the illusion of agreement is not surrender. It's strategy disguised as stillness. It's the calm before the calculation. It's how you walk away with the power they never realized they gave you. Manipulators live in one constant fear: losing control. They don't fear confrontation. They fear detachment. They thrive on attachment, your attachment to their approval, their validation, their presence. That's why your most lethal tactic isn't argument. It isn't silence. It isn't strategy. It's the exit signal, the quiet, unspoken demonstration that you can walk away at any moment and mean it. This isn't about drama. It's not ghosting for effect. It's about projecting the ultimate truth. You are not dependent. You are untouchable. Here's the psychology. Most people stay trapped in manipulative games because they fear the consequences of leaving. Manipulators exploit that fear. They test boundaries, they guilt trip, they threaten, they charm, all to ensure you won't exit. But once you remove the fear, once they realize leaving doesn't scare you, their entire structure collapses. This is how it works. First, time control. You're not always available. Your absence becomes part of your presence. Let them wonder where you are, what you're doing, why you didn't respond immediately. Every unanswered message, every delayed reply, every calm, measured disappearance signals autonomy. Second, emotional discipline. When they provoke, guilt trip, or bait you, you don't flinch, you don't defend, you don't explain. You respond with calm acknowledgement or strategic silence. Your emotional stillness becomes their chaos.
Third, independence in every form: mental, financial, social. Manipulators exploit dependency like fuel. If you rely on them for money, status, or validation, they always retain leverage. Build your options in secret. Build escape routes quietly. When the moment comes, you walk away with dignity, fully prepared. This is Machiavellian genius distilled. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But fear is not about terror. Fear is subtle. It is quiet authority. It is knowing you cannot be controlled and making them feel it without a word. Let's make it concrete. A toxic partner guilt trips you endlessly. They claim, "I guess you don't care about me anymore." Most people scramble to defend themselves. You respond, "All right." Then disappear for a few days. No texts, no calls, no explanations. The silence burns. Not because you punish them, but because they realize they have no power over you. A manipulative colleague constantly undermines you at work. Most respond with anger or passive submission. You document everything, stay professional, and build your network quietly. Then, when the right moment comes, you move. A transfer, a promotion, or even a resignation into a superior position. You leave the battlefield, and they are left questioning their own influence. The exit signal is not a threat. It's a reality. You don't announce it. You don't brandish it. You simply exist with the freedom to leave. And here's the Machiavellian twist. The moment they realize they could lose you, they panic. Every manipulative strategy they tried loses potency. Your calm detachment is the final move, the one no argument, no insult, no guilt trip can counter. Mastery is not in chasing control. Mastery is in showing silently that you already possess it. You walk in whole. You walk out untouchable. You remain unreadable. And for the manipulator, that is terror. Power is quiet. Authority is subtle. The exit signal is ultimate leverage. From this moment on, your rules are simple. Control your time, control your emotions, control your availability. Never give them your chaos. Never give them your urgency. Never let them believe they own your attachment. Because in a world full of manipulators, the one who can walk away anytime, anywhere, is the one who truly wins.